Okay, greetings, hello. So welcome to Erato. This is the Muse of Love. Erato is one of the 9 muses. Her name Erato means obviously erotic, and it's about connection and friendship and all different types of love. So you have books in here about psychology and philosophy. This whole wall is my philosophy collection. I have the classics, Plato, Descartes, Kant, Heidegger, Aristotle. You know, this is the room for philosophy in the institute. I also have a large collection of books on psychology, because what is it that we love with? The soul. Well, what is the soul? What is the anima? In French we say je t'aime. Aimer is the verb, and it comes from the same root as âme, meaning the soul. So what is this âme that we will have? How does it do its thing, aimer? In English we talk about love, which is from the same etymological root as the word life. Life is the noun, love is the verb. Love creates life. And the Anglo-Saxon, rune scholars knew all this. Libido is a Latin version of the same thing. When Freud talked about libido, what was he talking about? He's talking about the life energy, the love energy. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's how we all come into being. Our parents fell in love, thank God, and we're the fruit of it. And so let that mystery be unravelled and celebrated. So in this room you also have the office of the Muses Love Journal. So I set up in 1993 when I was visiting around America, looking for studies on love, because I'd already worked out that we're not going to get peace on the planet till we crack the mystery of love. And so I set up the Muses Love Journal, which we're about to do the 14th issue. And it's the only academic journal in the world on the nature of love, which is ridiculous, because academics love journals. So if you're interested in love studies, send me an article, send me your thoughts. If you've written either a scientific piece, people are now doing studies of what it is to be in love. It affects the hormones, the physical brain waves and stuff. But does it last? What happens? That infatuation phase is transmuted into a mature relationship, if you're lucky. What's that? What happens? So I'm studying all this stuff. And what are those mysteries? I mean, Plato said it's when souls fall in love. It's not just bodies. And sometimes you don't even need to do the bodily loving. You can just have platonic love, is what he said. Well, I agree with him. I've loved many people in my life, sometimes platonically, and that's as powerful too. But what is that? What is that mystery when souls love? Orpheus and Pythagoras said it's because you've met somebody from a former life. You once loved them before. That's very possible. I think I've met former wives of mine that I didn't have to marry this time, because we'd already done that in a former life, and we can meet and love and have a hug, and it's amazing. But it's not our destiny to do that again. I don't know, these are mysteries. I'm interested in past life regression. We have a massage table in this room, and I do past life regressions if somebody wants to come and book that. I've had that done for me, where you go into a deep trance, like a sort of hypnotherapy trance, and you see what you were in a former life. It's very revealing. Often conflicts that you're in are because you've been with some person fighting in a former life, and now you're still working it out. I think we've got to find ways of speeding up the resolution of these conflicts. I'm sure that many Islamic leaders and Israeli leaders, they were fighting in former lives. I'm sure that Putin and Biden and Zelensky have been doing it before. I wish they'd all come to me and have some past life regression, and we can move the conversation into a more mature direction. It's much more important, as Christ said, to save your soul than to control the whole world. He was a wisdom teacher in the same tradition that I'm in. I also have the collected works of Carl Jung, who all the psychologists, all the scientific psychologists, really said what I'm saying, that Erato, you can't really love someone unless you love yourself. And you can't love yourself until you've found your true self. You have to know who you are, which is why Delphi said, know thyself at the head of the temple there. But you can't know yourself until you love yourself. It's a sort of dual thing. So all the books in here about how do we learn to love ourselves, how do we learn to know ourselves, hence philosophies and psychology. And it's, you know, it's a really crucial room. One of the great 9 muses. These are goddesses, right? I'm just their humble little servant. Thank you for inspiring all the great thinkers who've worked on love. And if you haven't read the Symposium where Plato talks about love, you know, read it. It's very important, because he was taught by Diotima, Socrates, what is love, and it's all in the Symposium. Okay, so there we are. That's this muse. Thank you so much. Have a little look around, and then we'll move on. And there's quite a lot of feminist literature here. Simone de Beauvoir and, you know, the goddess traditions, studies of sexuality and eros. And what really upsets me is when people misuse sexuality in violence forms, like rape, bullying, emotional violence, and so on. Which is why I've come up with this idea of a wisdom affair, which is like a higher vibration of a love affair, that we should swear to a non-violent relationship, and to find our soul and each other's souls like in a mirror, which is what true love is about, surely.